it really does feel like forever. But I know some people, they're doing tutoring, or they're doing some of the different they need to go to study sessions and such, and that's fine. That's why I'm going to be recording this and uploading it onto my page. But those of you that are here, welcome. Today we're going to be awesome. Today we're going to be talking about realism in European art and realism in American art. And before we get started, I do want everyone to join my Nearpod, and let's do this together. If you could be any animal, what kind would you be? And I have some examples here to see if, you know, you want to be a mole rat, a naked mole rat, which is, I don't know why. The finger monkey. I don't know why somebody would want to be some of these. I don't know, because that's not. Yes, an otter. Oh my God. An otter is freaking adorable. Adorable. So again, if you could be any animal, what would you be? So go ahead and put that on there. And again, it could be a picture. Pandas just look like they have a lot of fun. They look like they don't have a care in the world, and they know they're cute. Anyone else? If you could be any animal, what kind would you be?
Hello.
Yes. Can you hear me? Go ahead and join the Nearpod and give me your answer. Hi, Jalissa. If you could be any animal, what kind would you be? I'm going to wait until maybe 3 more people. A hawk. Oh, okay. But also, awesome, Jalissa. So, one more. Let's see. Why, Blue? Why would you want to be a porcupine? So no one would touch you? Like, so you would be like, get away. Ah, I figured. My daughter, the 12-year-old, when she was about 9, she had a shirt of a cactus, and it had all the little spines, and it said something like, don't touch me. Like, you know, she's just like that too. Like, get away. No, thank you. Y'all are funny. I didn't expect we're just a big array of different types of animals that we would be.
Hold on, let me get in.
Hold on. Okay. So, moving forward, our ISVA mission, and then for this lesson now, I do want to remind you where we were at last time. That way you can get like a kind of like a feel of, you know, where we're at and what we're going to be working on today. And of course, the trash truck has to pass by right now. Yeah. So, when you hear the word realism, because that's what we're going to be talking about, it sounds like the artwork or the painting should be as close as possible to the real thing, because you hear the word realism on there. And remember the last time that we met, we talked about photography and how it changed the way that people viewed everything. It was the first time seeing war, the first time seeing a surgery be done, the first time seeing people in the North Pole. And you know, now we're in a different time, and now photography could help, you know, to finish off a piece and make it more. And that's what we start to see here in this lesson. We start to see how, again, photography came in and helped artists add more detail to what they were already to what they were already working on, to be able to add detail later, to be able to finish it off. There's always been a debate that if you have a picture and you can't make your own artwork look just like it, that you're not a real artist. And that is a more old school thing. That comes from old school. You know, I was taught to just sit and watch my subject, or I was taught to just sit and look at the landscape and paint it, you know, as realistic as possible. And that's a true artist. But no, absolutely not. I have seen people, trust, that have seen a picture and it still doesn't come out nothing like, the photo. And so that does not make you or not make you an artist. Photography also influenced realism, but not necessarily. It was just a whole nother era that came about after photography. Have any of you ever heard the word hyperrealistic? Hyperrealism? Any of you? So yeah, so hyperrealistic piece is a type of artwork that is crazy detailed. I mean, it looks exactly like the photo. Yes, you're right. Close-ups of portraits, you could see every single little scar, every freckle. You could see the facial hair. You could see every single strand of the person's hair. And it takes hours and hours and hours of work to make an hyper-realistic piece. I don't have that kind of patience. But I find myself doing that. I find myself looking for so many details when I'm working on my pieces. So I understand, and appreciate people who do hyperrealism to a whole nother level. So one of the first artists that we recognize and was the first ever really known in this realism time frame was Millet. And Millet, and right here, it's Francois Millet, 1814 to 1875. So he was that bridge between romanticism and realism. And the reason that I say this is, does anybody remember when we talked about romanticism and how romanticism was not necessarily about being romantic? It was about expressing the feelings and emotions, right? It was about making people feel something when they would see your art piece. So people like for this one here, sorry, I have the wrong one. Let me make sure that I have, yeah, the right notes. I want to make sure that yes, it was. So for this piece, you see that there was more of an interaction for Millet between people and nature. It was important for him to show hardworking people. There was a low vantage point, and he focused more on the common people. So this was like first time that there is dignity in hardworking people, and where he actually put women and picking, and in the Gleaners, like this piece here, women are picking up the leftover corn, and it is a blurry background because the women are focused, and that's where your eyes go to immediately. And the woman baking the bread, I mean, that one has so much in it. Again, dignity of hardworking people. You start to see these people of not just, everyday people. No, I want to show you how they really live. I want you to see, do you think woman baking bread looked weak? Do you think she looks weak? Or do you think she looks strong? No, she doesn't look weak. She looks strong. She doesn't look super young either. She looks like an older woman or lady who is very strong. You could see her arms, you could see those hard. And another thing that attracts you to her immediately is the colors that she's wearing, which are a combination of the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. Even though it has this goldish kind of mustard tone to it, it's still the primary colors that make your eyes go towards her. And so that is exactly what he wanted to accomplish in his pieces. Go ahead and go to the next one. So then we get into, and these were the European realistic pieces. Okay. So Courbet. So Gustav Courbet, he spoke about injustices in the world, and he also did this cross between romantic and realistic genre. So again, romantic, it made you feel something, a strong emotion about something. And before Courbet did these pieces, because they are huge. If you think about a house and a wall and or a museum and an entire wall. Well, the burial of the I don't know with my glasses. It's the burial of the ordnance is that big. You know, it is huge, as big as an entire wall from ground to ceiling and from side to side. Before this piece, you would only see this being done for royalty. Royalty were the only ones that would have a piece this large of importance because it gave, you know, but no, during this time, um, it was something again very romantic, talking about injustice in the world. um you know, it was about emotions, and it was realistic because he was painting what he saw. And so there he's painting a funeral and everything that's going on in that funeral, and giving the funeral of common people, hardworking people, everyday realistic things, realistic things that are happening in the world. This is a funeral. And he gave it that importance by putting the amount of detail that he did and making it in that large scale that he did. The Stone Breakers was also a very huge piece of his. So again, ordinary people and large scale is what Colbert did for realism. And then you have Monet. It's not Monet. Don't confuse them. This is Monet, okay? And I want to know, what do you think about this painting? You can go ahead and put that in the chat. What do you think about this painting right here by Monet? Anyone? Tell me what you think. Go ahead and put that in the chat. Controversial. Yes, that's for sure. So this piece here is considered to be the most important painting in modern art. And the reason that it is the most important painting in modern art is because it's the first time ever that so many rules are broken. And that's where Natalia comes in with the whole controversial thing. What made it modern was that approach, the approach of rule breaking. There's a naked woman, she's in the nude, chatting up with two guys. Okay. And how random is that? And if you look at the scale, there's another thing about it, that the painting doesn't look straight. It looks a little bit tilted. And that was a no-no. That was against the rules. Another thing with this painting was that there was a different light source. You know, the light source is always a natural light source. If the sun is coming from this way, you'll have the light source here and it'll be a dark shadow here. It didn't make sense. The light source was in the back on a lady who, if you think about it, all the paintings that we've been seeing, everything that's in the back, it's either tinier, no distance. You're right. Yeah. I agree. Like, and it is slanting, and that's what makes us look kind of tilted, right? Another thing is when something's in the background, it's blurry, it's tiny to show the scale, right? That the people are big. That girl in the back is not tiny. She's a medium size, and that's not correct proportions when it comes to scale. Another thing is the lighting, like the light source also. The woman in the front in the nude, she is lighter than the two men, and so is the girl in the back too. You know, the light source is hitting both of them. How can the lights be hitting in the back? There you go. It's not natural light. So again, it was one of the most important paintings in modern art, but for the mere reason of this is the first time that you saw this kind of rule breaking happening. Okay. So this is again transformation from realism to impressionism. I'm going to show you. Hold on. Whoops. Before we move forward, how do you think the camera changed painting? How do you think the camera changed painting? Go ahead and write your answer. One thing that I will tell you when it comes to using a photograph, things are flat. When you take a picture, everything looks flatter. So it's really important that even if, yes, those are good answers, even if you are painting from a photo, you always want to take another look at the real thing to see the roundness in 3D. I agree. That's a good answer right there too, Natalia. So moving forward, realism in art, again, precisely imitating what is perceived. And it was definitely influenced by photography. We could go back and add details. Now we go into American realism. First, we started with European realism, and now we go into American realism. Let me make sure that I have my correct notes. Yeah. And we start with Whistler. Okay. Now, what do you think about this artwork? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Personally, what do you think about this artwork? Because this is a young woman, and she's very young. We're talking early teen, okay? And people were appalled when they learned that the White Girl Symphony in White #1 and Symphony in White #2, the little white girl, was Whistler's mistress. And, you know, because of this, the community completely shunned him. They felt that it was, you know, just something incredibly awful for him to be showing this off and knowing that it's his mistress and knowing that she's that young to the community. So they didn't want anything to do with him whatsoever. So he definitely had to change it up to be accepted. And he definitely did. And is it loading? What's happening? Let's see. Whoops. He changed it up with this piece right here. And in this discussion board, I want to know, what do you notice about this painting? Because that's very different from The Girl in White. So this is called Nocturne in Black and Gold by Whistler. Does it look like a realism painting? Go ahead and write your answer in the discussion board. So when you're looking at this right here, so again, Whistler had to change it up because he wasn't accepted and he got shunned and nobody wanted to buy his pieces or even look at his art. So he comes up with this. And I want to know, do you think this looks like realism? And or what do you think about this piece? Just your personal interpretation of it. What do you think? Very abstract. I agree. I agree. Very abstract. Anybody else? What do you notice about this painting? So this was definitely, you see, I love that you put that, Jalissa, because when it comes to art, it does not, you know, even though the artist, let's say, wanted to make you feel a certain thing, because we are all entitled to feel whatever we want towards it, Jalissa saw this as happy. And I see it as, I don't see it as completely sad, but I see gloominess and then I see this hope of, you know, little glitter sparks in and you know, I do see that. So that's me. Again, everybody can have their own opinion about it. So for this piece, I'm going to go ahead and show you this one right here. So Nocturne in Black and Gold, the falling rocket is an iconic, and then it shows the beginning of abstract art. There was an art critique who said it was like flinging a pot of paint at the audience. And Whistler got so upset that he sued him for libel. So, you know, kind of like the way someone would say right now, oh, he completely ruined my reputation by putting this out into the media. And so the trial definitely became a pop culture phenomenon. It took a long time. Whistler ended up, putting in so much money in this whole this whole lawsuit. He won at the end, but he only won 1/10 of a penny. And that's not a lot, because that was kind of like a loss also, because he stayed broke. But he made his point. So after his loss, he lost so much money, he moved back to Venice and went back to safer artwork. And with his safer artwork, he did this piece, which is very famous. This is his mom. And you can now say, okay, but can you see some of that abstract work on here? Can you guys see how on the curtain there is this same feel from Nocturne in Black and Gold? Do you guys agree? Give me a thumbs up or something so I know. It is something, in that kind of, he, again, this was arrangement in gray and black, and he painted his mom. And this can say so many things, she looks like she's mourning, or she looks like you said, about to go to a funeral, or in a thought process of some sort, right? But what amazes me is how, just by looking at the curtain part right here, reminds me so much of the abstract piece that he created. So that's really interesting. And then we go into Winslow Homer. And he worked as a magazine illustrator. He was self-taught. He loved to do maritime scenes. And for him, again, he loved water-like scenes, the sea, boats, the sky. He definitely used photograph to capture detail in moments, but some of his pieces had a gloomy feel to them, especially his beginning pieces. Like, even the one at the sea, it's like a gloomy day at the sea. It's cloudy. And then this one with the ducks, the right and left, I mean, did one just get shot and he's about to just flop into the sea? So there's a little bit of that gloominess in some of his first pieces. If you look at some of his later pieces, you can see that. And again, look, this is one of his pieces. There's a storm and it's gloomy, the Gulf Stream. And then the boys in a dory again, you start to see some brightness in his pieces. But he definitely used photography to capture the details on his artwork. Do you see how this one too? It's lighter now. And that's one of his later pieces. I really like this one. This is a nice piece. I love the shadows of the women and the little dog. The waves look amazing. I think at this point he had already captured, how to make it look like the sea and the waves. Very nice. And then we have John Singer Sargent. Okay. And so he was a portrait painter. He was very famous because he painted a portrait of Theodore Roosevelt, but he was also known as, and he was one of the most famous portrait painters of the 19th and 20th century, but he was always known to paint from the knee up. That was something different about him. So, a lot of presidents are known for finding an artist to do the portraits. And he was known for this, and you could see that in the Theodore Roosevelt piece. But he also painted the portrait of Madame X. And he was inspired by Madame X, who he was kind of like a little bit obsessed with her, where he would reach out to her asking, can I paint you? Different situations and different gatherings. And she never really said yes, but he did it anyway. So when he painted her, And especially during these times, he painted her very provocative. And Madame X was outraged. She was upset. She got everyone around the whole circle of the people that they talked to or the art community to reject him and his work. So it was a big thing during the time for John Singer Sargent. Then we get into Edward Hopper. This piece is very famous, the Nighthawks, and there have been a lot of renditions of this piece. But it's got this really neat simplicity, and he liked to mix architecture along with people, to give a certain feel on his pieces. So how much do you like this piece? I want to know, like, thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up or thumbs down to Nighthawks? Yeah. I don't know, it's just a chill, nice, calm, like this looks like if it's a 2 a.m., 3 a.m. photo of some sort. So this was focusing on urban life and lonely times, right? To me, it seems like that. And so he combined these two, architecture and people. He was very much known for having artificial lighting. So you could see that inside of the diner. You could see how it's like really dark outside and how he has this artificial light that just lights up that side of the diner. So there was a very strong contrast. And I think that that's what attracts us to his piece. And I want to show you this short video of this artwork.
Judith Barter, Field McCormick Chair and Curator of American Art.
Nighthawks is a really fascinating painting. It's such an American painting. The Americanness is in many of the details. The Philly cigar ad above the diner, the salt shakers, the heavy-duty porcelain mugs, the napkin holders, the big coffee urns in the back, the soda jerk with his cap on. It's what America was like and what America liked in the 30s and 40s.
But look closer. There's something unrealistic and off-putting about Edward Hopper's scene.
It looks real, but it's not. There's no sense of real depth. When you try to go deep into this picture, it pushes you back to the surface. He uses acid greens against bright yellows and oranges. The red dress of the woman with her orange hair, these set your teeth on edge in a way, but they do work together. He was a brilliant colorist. And if you look at the diner, there's no way in or out except through that orange door that ostensibly goes to the kitchen. So it's sort of a hermetically sealed environment with these 4 people in this diner at night.
And no one is talking. To many, Nighthawks evokes a sense of loneliness. But Hopper himself disagreed with this interpretation. In an interview, he said,
"Well, I think those are the words of critics. It may be true and it may not be true. It's how the viewer looks on the pictures, what he sees in them."
What I see in Hopper is a sort of sense of everyman, that any of us could be sitting in this diner. It's really the idea of we are individuals, but we have a collective consciousness as well. I think people just relate to the everydayness of it. They can put themselves in these pictures.
All right, so I really love the way that they express what this painting was about. And while she was speaking, it made me see these things that I hadn't paid attention to. I was describing the painting to you. And it almost even made me smile, like, oh, she's right. Like, where's the door to go in? Or when she said that there's not a realness to it where it pushes you back, like you want to go in. We saw some paintings that welcome us in, right? We talked about that earlier in the semester, that some of these paintings, they welcome us in and they almost, want you to go inside their world. And this one, she defined it as it pushing you back. So that's like really, really neat the way that they describe that. These are some more of his pieces. You can definitely tell that they were done by Hopper, can't you? I really like his pieces. It's I don't know, it's a strong contrast of dark and light. It's this artificial lighting. It's these colors and the boldness of them. I like them. I like his pieces. They're nice. And then we get into Wood. He is American and Midwest. And this is one of his self-portraits here. And one of his pieces, Fall Plowing, the Plowing. So he painted American lifestyle from 1891 to 1942. And I want to show you one of the most famous paintings from Grant Wood, which is American Gothic. This showcased the rural American spirit from the onset of the Great Depression of the 1930s. This piece has been, it has been used in so many situations and reenacted as well. So I don't know if you guys have seen that they have gotten this painting and they have made their own reenaction because it is that famous. So the backstory for American Gothic, the original one, I'll go back to these so you can see them right now, is that this is his sister and his dentist. This is Wood's sister and Wood's dentist. There's been many replicas, interpretations. They've been made where the woman, this right here, showing the American time of the rural, onset of the Great Depression. Notice how she is behind him. Notice how the woman is a little bit behind him because they were working class. There was a respect that the female wasn't the head of the household like the man was, and they were dressed up in like the farm, she was ready to go in the kitchen and he was ready to go out and work on the outside or the farmland or whatever that was. And again, there are so many fun renditions of these pieces that have been done time and time again, and people have fun with it. And again, this is American Gothic. So I had a really good time showing you about realism, going from photography, the introduction of photography, into realism from Europe, realism in America. And this is the final activity where you can show me that you learned some of these pieces. Maybe we can go backwards. We just finished saying that Grant Wood did American Gothic, right? Maybe we can go, we just finished saying that Hopper, and we watched the video where he did the diner, Nighthawk, right? And we also talked about Singer Sargent, and we talked about his obsession with Madame X. So there were those. And can anyone tell me here? I want to see if anyone has tried it. Yes. You guys got it. That is so good. I'm so proud of you guys. You guys are awesome. Let me go back to this.
James with the gold.
Uh-huh. Yep. Whistler. And then we said that Homer did the dark, and he would do kind of gloomy and the sea. You guys are awesome. So I want to thank all of you for coming. I really missed you. I know that it's going to be a little bit patchy again when we get into STAR testing. I hope those of you that did TELPAS testing did a good job, or that you guys enjoyed seeing some of the teachers and actually going and seeing people. And I want you all to have a wonderful weekend. If you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. And for the rest of you to reach to your teachers, like, y'all, we are so happy to help you, because this is what we're passionate about. We love what we do, and we want to make sure that you understand, the concept, and that you move forward so you can get credit. So You guys have a good one, and spring break's almost here, so we're really excited about that too. You guys take care. Bye. Okay.